Hi, I'm Michael Keating, and welcome to The Next Chapter. We're a show about mind, body, spirit, and motivation. And when you put all that together, there's no better thing than helping other people. And that's what today's show is all about. Let's go to the intro. Welcome back. Paul Smalley once wrote that children need to know and hear in ways that they understand and remember that they are loved by mom and dad. Well, that's not always the case in a lot of families today. In fact, there are reported cases in Sevier County of over 900 abused and neglected kids. If you look at all of Tennessee, there's 72,000 cases. And if you look at all of the United States, there's over 3 million nationally. Now, anywhere else, that would be considered an epidemic. Here, it's a hidden secret. We have today somebody special. We have somebody from CASA. This is Natasha Hager. And Natasha, you've actually got a video to show us, don't you?
Yes, we do.
Okay, let's run the video.
My childhood experience was sad and emotional. My parents were big into drugs and alcohol. They would not come home till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning every day, and they would have me to watch the kids and feed them. We never had food or clothes. And when they did come home, my stepdad would abuse me. But at age 13, I was finally taken into custody, and then I was appointed a CASA.
In Tennessee, we currently serve 5,000 children with CASA volunteers, and that's a great big number, and it's wonderful. However, that's only half of the counties in our state that have programs, and our counties oftentimes can only serve half of the children in need.
A CASA volunteer is an extremely important person in any of the dependency and neglect cases.
They have that ability to really deep dive into that child's life and that child's needs.
The court is assured that there's a person there whose primary purpose is just to be sure that that child or children get everything that they need throughout the process of that case.
And we always know that our CASAs are objective and looking out for that child.
A lot of times case managers change, workers at DCS change. These children may go from foster home to foster home, but the CASA volunteer is the one person that is there the entire time, from the beginning until the end, and sometimes continues that relationship after the case is closed.
The nature of CASA is that we come from all walks of life. And so CASA is very good about finding which of their volunteers has the best connection to a child in need.
You don't have to have prior experience with the court or even children. As long as you have a heart for the work and the passion to do it, you can be an everyday hero for children in Tennessee.
The comprehensive training and the fabulous staff support will enable you to advocate very effectively for a child.
My CASA volunteer saved my life, to be honest. I was not going to have anywhere to go. I was probably going to end up aging out and probably be on the streets and end up just like my biological family. So she changed me and made a difference and was there and supported me through everything.
It is very fulfilling and it is very rewarding, and it's needed. I wish that it weren't needed, but it is, and somebody has to do it.
I think the most rewarding thing I find about being a CASA volunteer is to actually see that the things you do and the effort you put in have direct results to benefit the children that are in need.
When you see a child go finally into their forever home, and you know that they're going to be safe and they're going to be happy and taken care of, and they're going to be able to reach their potential now as people, it's extremely rewarding to know that you had a hand in that.
Every child in our community is our child, and we have a responsibility to every child in our community. So if there's a child who has been abused and neglected and needs someone to speak up for them, we need to step up.
If CASA were able to grow their scope and their ability to help our children in Tennessee, it would mean unimaginable things.
More CASA advocates would mean healthy children. Children that are staying in school, children that are graduating, families that are healthy, families that are working, families that are law-abiding, contributing to our economy. It helps everyone.
It would grow the awareness of abuse and neglect, and it would empower people to stand up and speak out to make changes for the children in our lives.
It means we can serve all of the children that need to be helped.
You could be that one person that a child needs, that stable person, that stable support system that can make or break them.
I would encourage you to just come and talk to us, go through the training, and give it a try.
It's a great opportunity to be able to do something that has deep and impactful purpose, but that can also work into whatever else you have going on in your life.
20,000 children.
20,000 children.
20,000 children in Tennessee are in need each year.
Someone has to be for the child.
Why not you?
Why not you?
Why not you?
Visit beforthechild.org.
Wow, that's some video. Thank you for bringing that by. Now, Natasha, can you tell us a little bit about what CASA is?
Of course. CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates. I work with Lakeway CASA, which is a CASA organization that deals with Hamlin, Jefferson, and Sevier counties. CASA was first started by a Seattle judge in the 70s. He felt that he was making decisions that were life-changing for these children, and he did not have all the information. So he created the program to pull community volunteers together, to train them, to investigate into the situation, interview professionals, parents, everybody that's involved in the child's life, and give that information to him so he could make a decision and have all the information he needed. So currently we are with Lakeway CASA. We serve, again, like I said, Sevier, Jefferson, and Hamlin. We have been in the area since the 80s, and we have been with Lakeway CASA since 2012. So we are appointed by juvenile judges in the Sevier County court system, and we will do investigating, we will write reports, and we will give that information to them in court so they can make those decisions for the children and feel comfortable that they have all the facts.
Well, and you guys do so much more than that. I mean, you actually counsel the children. This is going to be a really, really tough thing for a kid. I mean, first of all, his parents are messed up, probably. I mean, they're either on drugs or on alcohol and messed up. And that he could be in a situation where he's not getting along with his siblings. This, I mean, truly is about neglected and abused kids. So they're scared, and you guys actually do much more than that. You actually counsel the kid one-on-one, and kind of walk him through the process, which I can't even imagine going through that without somebody like you.
Yes, we don't do any kind of therapy or anything like that with the kids. We do recommend that they go to professionals for that sort of thing, but we are there to walk them through and let them know what's going on. Because what tends to happen is there are all these people talking about the kids and their situation and what they're going through, but no one talks to them.
To the kids,
they tend to be lost. You know, DCS does a wonderful job. We love our DCS workers and our caseworkers, but they are highly overwhelmed with cases, so they are not able to talk one-on-one with the child as much as they can. So that's where we come in. We come in and we visit the kids. We go and see them at school. We keep up with their grades. We interview everyone in their life to see how they're doing, and then we let them know what's going to happen next, what's coming up. They, you know, will confide in us. They'll tell us what's going on, and we're that constant in their life. A lot of times, DCS workers, judges may change, court systems may change. You know, they can go through multiple foster homes. We've had kids that have been in, you know, 7, 10 foster homes, and we follow them the whole way. We're there every time.
At least you're a constant in that whole thing.
Yes.
More so than, I mean, you talked about the therapists and all that, and that's very important, but I think in this particular case, you're basically a friend to the kids.
Yes.
And the kids at this point need a friend more than anything else.
Yes.
And then, of course, you also have to have all the paperwork and everything else. You're dealing with all the legalities, of a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
And that to present to the judge, and he has to have all the backgrounds, and that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yes, it can be a lot of work. We tell our potential volunteers this is not your typical volunteer opportunity. You're not going to be handing out meals. It's for someone that really has a heart for children and really wants to help the children in our community that have been hurt by their families. We are a friend to that child. We come and see them. They know they can count on us, and we do follow them, and we are the constant person in their life, because you can imagine you have in a situation where there's a kid with 6 or 7 siblings. They're all split into different foster homes. They're moving foster homes. They don't have someone that they know that's there specifically for them, and that's someone that's going to continue to be there for them throughout the life of the case. So that can be really, really difficult if they feel like they don't have someone to depend on. So we try to be that for them, and also gather the facts and do all the clerical work for the judge as well.
Yeah, which is all really necessary and stuff.
Yes.
And that I was lucky enough to go to your fundraiser about 2 weeks ago, and it's kind of eye-opening. First of all, you did Judge Sloan actually did a whole thing on opiates and the opiate problem in this region.
Yes.
And he was actually talked to me after that about all the kids and stuff like that go through the CASA thing. He said over 90% of them are because parents are on drugs or they're on alcohol. That's a staggering number. That's a really staggering number. And what's even more crazy is the fact that a kid born to somebody that's on drugs can end up being an addict before they're even born.
Yes.
And that's crazy too.
It is. Over 90% of our cases that we deal with do involve substance abuse of some form, drugs, alcohol, prescription medicine, meth, Suboxone. In most of our cases, that is involved, and we do have NAS babies, as we would say, or babies that suffer from neonatal abstinence syndrome. So they are born addicted. They do have to withdraw in the hospital, and it can be a very rough start for them. So it's important for children like that to have a CASA, to have someone to be there to speak about their best interests and what they need. So that's where we come in as the CASA volunteer.
That's cool. Now, one of the things they showed us at the banquet is about Joey's story.
Yes.
You know about Joey's story, of course. Tell us a little bit about that. This is just one case of a child being helped by CASA.
Okay, well, Joey's story is a story that we kind of share just to give people an idea of what we do and the kids we deal with. Joey is not the real name of the child for confidentiality.
Yeah,
we have to
makes
change
sense.
Names, but this is based on a real situation. So Joey was a very young child, a toddler, and the CASA first met him in his home. He was living in a home with parents that were using drugs, had a lot of people in and out. And the first time that the volunteer met Joey, he actually had a full cast on his leg due to the abuse and neglect that he was living in.
Wow.
So he was very, very shy. He did not want to speak to anybody. He would even curl up into a ball when he would be approached just because he was so scared. So the more that the volunteer would come to see Joey, he eventually kind of warmed up and would talk and speak with her and tell her about his toys. And so from the beginning, Joey's favorite toy was the dinosaur, the biggest dinosaur, the T-Rex, because he said that the T-Rex was the meanest and can beat up all the bad people, which is a sign of what Joey's going through.
Yeah, that's actually a little sad that is how he has to look at life.
That's very sad. So Joey actually ended up being removed from that home. The CASA volunteer followed him all the way through, followed him starting school, helped him to learn to write his name, and even helped him find his adopted family. So Joey was adopted. His parents in that situation decided they did not want Joey back, which is heartbreaking, but as a CASA, we're there to help him to move on and to still have a great life, even though he had some rough times in the beginning. And so at the end, Joey's new favorite toy was a race car, and he decided that he wanted to be a race car driver and that he didn't need that dinosaur to protect him anymore.
Well, that's very cool. I'm glad he has another dream.
Yeah.
And that, one thing that actually sticks in my mind too is that kids that actually go with the CASA thing end up doing so much better in school, and they end up doing so much better in making friends and relationships and everything else once they're out of that toxic environment.
Yes.
And onto a loving environment, basically. Because a lot of these families that take in the kids are really, truly loving families. My little brother does that, and out in Seattle. And
Yeah, it's very important as a CASA that you kind of follow the child's education as well. Some of our kids can seem to get lost or fall through the cracks, and we've even had kids, because we do go and visit the kids at school. We talk to the teachers, we check their attendance, we look at their grades, and we've had kids tell us, I've never had anyone come to my school, that parents had never came and come to a meeting or to check on them, and so that's what we're there for. We're there to keep up with those things, to make sure that they're doing well, and to do everything we can to break that cycle in their lives so they don't continue on like the situation they were pulled out of.
Yeah, I know you're very, very short-handed right now. In fact, you're doing a drive right now to help get more volunteers. Tell us a little bit more about that.
We are recruiting right now potential volunteers. Our judges are wonderful with us. They want to assign us more cases. We just don't have the staff to be able to take those. Just we need volunteers. In Sevier County, we're serving 24 kids right now, and we only have 4 volunteers.
Wow.
And our judge has told us he would love to be able to give every child a CASA if we had the volunteers to be able to handle that. So we are doing a volunteer training class coming up. It'll start November 5th, and it's at 10 a.m. at King Family Library. So to be a volunteer, you just have to be over 21, be able to pass a background check, not have a criminal background, and not have any open cases in the juvenile court system. We also do our training. It's 30 hours. It is pretty intense training, but once you go through all of that, go through the application process, you'll be sworn in as a volunteer. So we really hope that anyone that has a heart for children and for this mission to please contact us.
Especially if somebody's retired or looking for something to do, or they're not working at the moment, they're looking for something to do to actually help people. This is a great thing to do.
Yes, and retired professionals are wonderful volunteers because they have the professional aspect of doing the things like the court reports and investigating, and also they have the time, so they can go and see the kids and visit the kids during the day. That's not to say that someone that works could not be a volunteer. They definitely could. We work around all schedules. We're just really in need of help for our kids.
Well, a lot of professionals that actually retired actually need something like that to feel productive. You know, I know that I know a lot of retirees and stuff like that, that once they're done, it's like, well, what next?
Right.
So it'd be great to do something like this that actually helps kids out, because I can't think of anything better than kids to help out.
Right.
And that, so it's a great way to go.
Yeah.
And that, do you have any other stories about CASA or?
Yeah, we can talk about, in the video, there's a young girl named Anna Marie that you guys saw in the video.
Yeah.
She actually came and spoke at our National CASA Convention recently.
That's very cool.
So she is doing wonderful, and she credits in the video that her CASA has saved her life. Because the home that she came out of, it would have been very easy for her at her age and the situation she was in to continue that cycle of living on the streets or, you know, abusing drugs, and it was that CASA in her life that helped steer her to the right direction. So she credits that, and she came and spoke, and she's actually getting ready to graduate from college. So
that's cool.
She's doing wonderful. We also have another volunteer that was in a situation. Her name is Tabitha, as a young child, and she also had said that CASA was instrumental in her life and helped to put her on the right path, and she came back and is now a volunteer for us. She wanted to give back to CASA because of what she went through in her childhood and how important her CASA was to her. So it's a really great thing, and we really could use help with volunteers. These kids, they're all our kids. It's our community. And if we don't make a change now and help them, you know, what are we going to come to, you know, when they get to be adults? If we don't.
It's so darn easy to go into that path of destruction.
Yes.
In Florida, when I was a little kid, when I was in junior high school, I worked with my uncle who was on the YOU program, and we saw generation after generation after generation of, you know, basically bad choices. Let's just put it, bad choices, drugs, alcohol, running around, kids actually living in chicken coops and things like that all over the place. They're just totally neglected.
Yes.
And there wasn't anybody to really help them. My uncle helped as an advocate for YOU, but I saw firsthand as a kid, you know, what these kids go through, and what a lot of people don't think about is the fact that kids are going to mimic their friends, they're going to mimic their parents, and that if they don't have good role models, you know, then chances are their friends are not going to be good role models either. And that they're going to gravitate toward people that are like them, which may be a little rougher. They might get into drugs very easily that way, or alcohol, or violence, or gangs, or anything else. If you could take them from that situation early enough and place them someplace that is loving and caring, what a difference. What a difference. What a great chance that they would have.
Yes. And with Lakeway CASA, our organization, our mission statement, we have a couple bullet points. And so the first one is to improve the lives of abused and neglected children, to shorten their stay in foster care, to advocate for their best interest, and to help them find a safe, permanent, loving home, because we don't want them to continue that cycle. We want to, whatever situation they're in, we want to help improve that. The foster care issue is a huge thing. We do have kids that are in several different homes, so we try to help cut back on that. We try to do whatever we can and advocate for their best interest. And it's very difficult to break that cycle if that's all you've ever known. So we want to be that person that's there saying you don't have to continue in this life. There's help, there's other resources, there are other things you can do. And trust. You can trust other people. But they can't necessarily trust anybody in their life at that moment. Yeah, that's a big deal. And then how long do they actually stay in foster care? Well, it depends. Most of our cases, I'll just start here, most of our cases last around 1 year. So normally around that time, things start to move to where they exit foster care or exit the court system. So that could be termination of parents' rights, that could be the child's getting adopted, things like that. So as far as aging out, after they age out of foster care, depends on their age and depends on if they're in college or things like that. There are resources. There are resources through the state that can help them go to college, that can help them learn to live on their own, things like budgeting. So these kids are not just falling off and living on the streets after that. So there are a lot of resources, and we can be a huge help to let them know they don't have to continue that cycle. There are other ways. So, yeah. That's great. What else can you tell us about the future of CASA here? I mean, are you looking, what is your ultimate goal? What would you like this to be? Our goal would really be just to get more volunteers and be thriving and be able to take as many cases as possible. We started in March as far as opening our office here and kind of revamping the CASA in Sevier County. I know, I was there for your office opening. Yeah. So right now we are really focusing on recruiting. We need more volunteers. We're doing the training class that I mentioned, and we just need help to be able to serve our kids. Well, we're getting close to the end of our program right now, so please give us one more time exactly where they can go to volunteer. Okay. And dates and times. Okay. Well, you can contact me to get started. My name is Natasha Hager, and I'm the volunteer coordinator for Lakeway CASA, Sevier County. My phone number is 865-318-3256. Our training will start on November 5th. That's our orientation, so you can just come, learn more about what we do, and see if you're interested. November 5th at 10 a.m., and it's at King Family Library. You can also check out our Facebook, Lakeway CASA, or our website is also on there, but you can check out beforthechild.org. Any of those ways you can contact us and let us know that you're interested, and we'll reach out and get you taken care of. Well, thank you, Natasha. I appreciate that. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today, and that hopefully you know a little bit more about what goes on in the shadows of Pigeon Forge and Sevierville and Sevier County and Tennessee and the United States. And hopefully you'll get lots of volunteers for CASA. Yeah. And that would be great. That would be wonderful. Okay, so I hope you all live up to your best potential and become the best you possible. Good night, everybody.